guys and gals, and over here from Drake Wayne Game and 70 on Twitter, the gaming drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Oscar's Path. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, we're up, and let's go! I found this room. It doesn't lead home, at least I don't think it does. But I think it's an important room. It looks completely different. Oscar's about to say something, another tremor rocks through the boat, followed by a loud groan. By the time things calm down, I can feel ourselves tilted at a further angle. Well, better than staying out here. I can do a lot, but I don't think I can punch our way through a ship's hull. But I can try for you. He doesn't give me a time to respond as he pushes me into the room and we're plunged back into the study behind us, the door closing behind us with a click. A surge of worry washes through me at the sound, but Oscar is already one step ahead of me as he tests the doorknob. Thankfully, it opens without any issues. We're not locked in. Sorry, I probably should have thought about that a little more. Gotta remember, this place isn't a regular ship. Who knows what they'd do? It's okay. I don't think they'd trap us somewhere. At least not without a way out. It seems to almost be like a game. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that makes sense. It's like we're on a set path and there's a goal at the end. Too bad I wasn't ever one for video games. I only ever played them with my brother. I don't think that would help us here, sadly. You never know. Maybe we could find a warp point to send us back home. With Oscar around, I feel a lot more certain about our safety, though I still wonder why the spirit doesn't want to associate with him. I could ask it next time, but I doubt it would answer me. What'd you find in here? Man, this place feels like we're back on campus. I hadn't looked yet. You arrived right when I found it, but I was thinking the same thing. Feels important. You might as well start looking around. Oscar starts checking out one of the tables off to the side, leaving the large desk for me to investigate. There's numerous books sitting in a pile at the end, and there's plenty of stationery prepped and waiting. But something about it feels off. It feels like it hasn't been used in a while, but there doesn't look to be any dust or signs of wear. It's almost like it's been frozen in time. I take a moment to try to look through the windows, and I almost expect to see the campus outside, but all I can see is the ocean outside. It might be the clearest view from inside the ship. It almost feels like a painting. It's a little too blurry to see anything clearly, and the colors are too vibrant. It feels almost like someone's memory of the ocean than what it would actually look like. Turning back to the desk, I pick up one of the books and start looking through them. I expected it to be some kind of business log, but it's not anything I expected to find on a cruise ship. It's filled with notes from what seems to be a statistics class. Something that clearly doesn't belong here. The only information of note I'm able to find on the book is initials on the front of the book. CS. CS 188. A really good YouTuber. Before I'm able to really question whose initials belong to or check out the other books, my interest is immediately lost as I feel something slide from between the pages. There's not an ounce of doubt in my veins about what it's going to be, and as I stare at the familiar piece of parchment now laying on the desk, I feel a sense of accomplishment. So, water time. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Let's go ahead and jump back in, shall we? Actually, let me make sure the microphone is connected. Sorry about that, y'all. We are back. Okay, let's jump back into it. Alright. And just as strongly, a sense of growing dread. I found it. It doesn't take long for Oscar to come over and immediately understand the situation. He didn't even look surprised. He must have assumed we were looking for the same thing. He takes one of the nearby chairs while I sit at the desk itself, feeling like I'm intruding on someone else's space as I pick up the page. It feels heavier than it did before, but I doubt it's anything physical. I already know that there's answers on here, but how many is the real question. Neither of us say a thing as I start to read. Oscar doesn't look particularly interested in hearing the entire thing out loud, so I keep it to myself. If anything, he almost looks apprehensive and sad as he stares down at the cheap carpet. That could be for a number of reasons, even if the voice in the back of my head is telling me it's definitely about this. I pick up where I left off last time. I can't believe she was right. Conrad wasn't who we thought he was. Well, who I thought he was, because apparently I'm the only one who was left in the dark. They all hid it from me, even Mercy. How could they do that to me? How could she? I don't even know who I should be more pissed at. How am I supposed to just stay friends with people who would let me live this stupid lie? I fought for him and Mercy would fight back because she knew the truth, but instead of telling me, she just tried to break us up. Did she know from the start? Is that why she never liked him? But why didn't she come to me? I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. This wasn't really meant for your eyes, but I just needed to vent. Who knows? Maybe I'll just rip this whole thing out and forget it ever happened. I run my fingers down the length of the torn page. This is one of the few pages that they've managed to find. Does that mean Helena ripped specifically this one out and kept it? She did rip out all the others too, or was whatever was dragging them into this pocket dimension responsible for that as well? Well, I'll probably never find out. I decided to keep reading. But if he's gonna betray my trust like he did, like they all did, why should I give them that kind of respect back? The guilt must have been getting to him because he took me back to his dorm. We didn't go to his room, though, because his roommate would have been home and he couldn't risk him hearing. So he took me to the study they have in the dorm. Apparently, it's basically never used by anyone. That's where he spent his time at the dorm. I paused for a moment to look around the room. No wonder this place feels like a private study, despite the numerous different chairs and tables. No one else used this place. He said he had to confess and had to do it before Quinn talked him out of it. I thought he was going to break up with me or admit he was cheating on me with Quinn. Something normal. Something a girl prepares for. But he told me he was gay. My eyebrows shoot to the top of my head, and I can see Oscar look more uncomfortable than he did moments ago. Did he realize I figured something out? But how does he know? There's nothing wrong with being gay. Initially, I just thought he figured something out about himself. College is a time for learning, after all, right? That's what all the pretentious assholes say. But it was so much worse. He was always gay and was just dating me to look straight for the guys on the team. He was never into me. All the dates were nothing but fake bullshit, and it was all a lie. Do you know what the worst part is? I think despite lying to me and using me, I might be the least mad at him because he had a reason. He was scared or some shit. Whatever, I get it. I'm pissed off, but I get it. Not sure what the team with numerous fucking gay guys would care. His best friend is openly gay. Why would anyone care? That's not important. Not compared to the others. What I truly can't forgive, nor can I truly understand, is Quinn. It was all her idea. She was the one that set us up in the first place, and it was all to be his fake girlfriend. No wonder he barely ever brought me to anything. He didn't even want me there. He told me that he came to value our friendship, but how am I supposed to take that? I can't trust you now, but I'm glad you liked our time? What kind of roommate and friend decides it's a good idea to do this to someone? I tried asking her afterwards, but she just said she had to put her friend first as if it was something less. Fucking bitch. He might have done it, but it was all her, and for what? To impress some stupid football players? Who gives a shit what they think? What about what you're doing to your friend? Mercy hurt me the most. I don't know how. Conrad wouldn't tell me, no matter how much I begged or screamed at him, but somehow she knew about all this. She knew and let it happen, and the only thing she did was vague bullshit about not liking him. I tried contacting her about it, but she just ignored me like she has been for everything else the last 2 weeks. Does she even care? I get it. She's upset, but the fact that all this happens and she doesn't even swallow it enough to come comfort me is awful. She was closer to me than anyone else, and she let them do this to me. There's more ink further down the page, but it's been completely ruined by... What do you do? Okay. By tears and smudging. Her writing got less incomprehensible as the entry went on, almost like she was coming to terms with it herself. Conrad and Quinn used her for their own purposes. I'm not sure what happened between them afterwards, it doesn't say. But whatever relationship they had with Helena had been completely ruined. I look over at Oscar, who's staring at me, waiting for me to say what I discovered, but I already have the feeling he knows the answer. When did you figure it out? I didn't. All I had was a hunch, didn't have anything else. But why? How did you figure it out? Wallace, I didn't want it to be true, but it just made sense. The way he seemed ashamed of her, didn't seem interested in her physically, and just something about him. Just gave you a hunch? Yeah, I'd rather have ignored it than tell you. Maybe it wasn't true and I'd been wrong, but as we learned more, it just seemed more and more plausible. It makes sense why you were so adamant that he wasn't cheating on her and why you doubted his intentions so much. I've seen more than my fair share of new guys, fresh at college and ready to discover themselves. Most people thrive, but some get scared and hide, you know? He had his reasons, but whatever they were, I don't know. It makes sense, and I feel a little dumb for not figuring it out before. It just doesn't make sense that he keeps something like this from Nathan. Maybe he's worried he would judge him. Why would Nathan judge him? He's into guys as well. Maybe he was scared that he'd judge him for hiding, or for still wanting to hide. Why would you want to hide yourself? I thought things were better now. This isn't the 80s or whatever. But Oscar doesn't answer. He just comes around and stands next to me. I'm wanting him to grab me and pull me deep into his arms, and I can see him trying to reach around me before his arms pull back. Ultimately, he decides on simply intertwining our tails. The one gesture he's able to get through to me, a way to tell me that he cares for me, something Helena didn't have. They all abandoned her. Conrad, Quinn, Mercy, and maybe even her mom. Like I said, it's rarely just one thing, and all it takes is just the wrong things happen at the wrong time. I think all of us have been to dark places. That's why I chose not to dwell on them. They never help anybody. But Oscar, if you keep ignoring them, you'll never truly be able to get past them. You'll just be running from them forever. There's no way I can say that, though. Not right now. Eventually, he moves back around the desk and inspects the page for himself. He starts to look around the room as if expecting something else to appear. So, when do we get to leave, man? We found the goal, didn't we? Well, I don't think we're at the end yet. I mean, this was likely the goal, but it might be better to think of it like a key, maybe? I expected him to look a little upset, but he just patiently waits for me to continue, even giving me an encouraging smile despite likely having to endure more of this. When I found the pages in the previous nightmares, it didn't immediately end. When we found it in the hospital, we still had to find the exit afterwards. Something would always go wrong, and I cut myself off as I realized the implication of what I just said, but Oscar picked up on it earlier than I did, but there wasn't any time for us to react as another tremor shot through the ship. It's much stronger this time, and I could feel the floor tilting further. It isn't long before the rumbling and the awkward angle causes me to lose my footing, and I'm forced to grab onto Oscar's arm for balance. To add insult to injury, the door was knocked open during the commotion. We hear the sound of water echoing down the hall, except this isn't the sound of rushing water like I've been expecting. It feels almost like a distant shower. Thankfully, Oscar hears it too and notices my confusion as well. The water must be breaching the hole somewhere on this floor. Water's likely flooding in, but there's a chance the entire wall might collapse. Then what happens? We hope we're not too deep. We can't waste time. It looks like the ship is fully tipping over. If the room tilts far enough, we'll be trapped in here. I didn't understand what he meant at first, but as the angle kept changing, I realized that the floor is slowly starting to become the wall, and the wall behind me might become the floor soon enough. And if that happens, the only exit would be on the roof, an entire room length of height away. We'd be trapped until the water comes and drowns us. Had that been the design of the room? Trap us here at the end of this room and force us to not be able to escape? Oscar doesn't bother with his questions like that as he grabs me and lifts me onto his back, forcing my arms around his neck. Hold on tight as you can, okay? Things are about to get really dicey and I'm not going to be able to hold you. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon, YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!